switching to faces. And now we're on face mode. Hello,
Hey
everyone.
everybody,
Welcome to
how's
another
it going?
thrilling and exciting episode of YCG Explains, Yacht Club Games Explains,
Episode 3.5.
episode 3.5. We're your hosts. I'm Sean,
And I'm David.
and yeah, I'm a designer here at the Yacht Club.
And
David's
I'm
a
a programmer.
programmer.
And today we're gonna talk about a topic, and at the end we'll take questions like we normally do. And today's is a little bit more weird, even though probably all of these were weird. But today we're talking about something that is not gameplay, which is the story. We wanted to talk about like the Victorian inspirations and how we came up with the story and how we integrated it in the game and all that kind of the juicy stuff of how we create the world of Mina.
That's right.
So at the start of the game, we said, "Hey, we have big meetings where we're figuring out what kind of game do we want to make, what are we interested, what do we want to do and not do overall, right? We want to make sure, like in the last episode we talked, we want to make sure we don't have like a dodge in the game. We want here's like the different kind of things we're doing or the things we're excited about. Oh, we're gonna make a game that's very open. You can go anywhere. Those we sort of set these temples from the start. And one of them is we want to make something like that feels like Bloodborne and Castlevania, and immediately we like are coming to the conclusion that like, oh, we're making a Victorian era kind of story, right?
Yeah, something spooky. And like, after coming off of Spectre of Torment, we wanted to make something scary. And also like something for like kids, right? Like we said Castlevania and Bloodborne, but like I think Haunted Mansion was also a big inspiration
Oh
of
yeah,
like something that's like it's like funny and for kids, but it's also like horrific and like when you think about it, it's like could be like really horrific. But that's getting away from the Victorian part.
yeah. Well, I mean, Victorian is like oftentimes. I don't know why during this era, but like there's a lot of scary, horrific stories happening during the Victorian era, right? And that's I guess like we were sort like when we were talking about like what kind of story we want to tell, we were like sort of looking at like what's happening in the real world that like is affecting us, right? That maybe is like will be interesting to people to like experience. And we're in LA, and the prices in LA were going like even 6 years ago when we were starting were like skyrocketing, right? It's like impossible to buy a house there. There's homeless people everywhere.
Right.
Like it
Yeah.
felt like the gap between the rich and the poor was growing at an extreme rate.
Right. The gap, and
Um,
it's growing faster, and you could see
faster.
the negative effects of it happening like all around you. It's like
Yeah, and when
like
and when we were look when
good.
we were looking at the Victorian stories from the same era, it's like there's like, Dickens is the most popular person. It feels like they're talking about the same kinds of things that are happening, in their time period, right? Like industries taking over. It's making people poor and it's making some people rich, and
Right. Exactly.
some
That
people
gulf
have
is
to
like getting
work.
huge. Right.
It's
Some
getting
people, yeah,
huge,
working
right?
huge, yeah, working really long hours in really terrible conditions, and
Right.
just and right, but it's like it's society is is really grinding at like a more quick rate as
Right.
well, like
And
because
the and
the machines of industry are spinning up, and it's like people are getting crushed.
Yeah, and the fear essentially, like, it and the like what we wanted to do is like make something that's like frightening, right? And basically what they were writing those kind of stories is I think because like that's what was scary, but that was what was frightening. And I think, and the fact that it lined up so well with like, oh, we're in a second gilded age now, right? Just was like it's fortuitous, and I guess we leaned into that. That's what we were thinking.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
We're going through the same thing now.
right, and
Hooray.
then yeah, right, and then that like there was another big element of those kind of scary stories that like Castlevania was drawing a lot from, right? Which is the Frankensteins, the Draculas, the Dr. Jekyll and Hydes, these like science stories, which are essentially like there in the Victorian era, like science was really like changing at a rapid rate, and I think people were like dealing with what it felt like for these massive changes to be happening. Like in the Dickens story, right? That means industry, right? There's now they can keep the lights on at night and and keep working all day long, right? And in the science world, it's like with Frankenstein, it's like, oh, what does it philosophically mean that you can, maybe we could be making life, or or affecting the world in ways that seem unnatural.
Right. It's like
um
going, yeah, like
or
going too far, too much, right, in a unnatural, like in a anti, in like a
right,
in a sacrilegious or blasphemous way as well. Like
right,
it's like this, it's like, hey, this is like wrong, but like people are going there anyway, and it's all like happening around. It's like this progression that's like, it's like this like march of progress. Once again, that feels like crushing.
right. And I think the like thinking about how we're like making progress, but we're not maybe not thinking about how it affects other people. Like, oh, I made Frankenstein, but I made this monster, and now that I've made the monster, I thought about like, what did I do,
Oh
kind of
no,
thing,
right,
right?
yeah.
Um, so like the way you're like they were connecting their like march of progress to how it actually affects the world. Those like are different concepts, I guess.
Right.
Um, and basically how they're like what like sacrifices will they make for like the good of convenience, right? Even when you take something like like that seems sort of adjacent, like a Sherlock Holmes story, right? That was happening at the same time. It was even that is about like, oh, we can solve murders now because like because we have
Through
chemistry,
science and like yeah, like
right?
thought, the process, right? Trusting
So we're yeah,
right.
we're thinking a lot about how to do that, and, like, a lot of the stories, especially Victorian, that we were pulling from, like, a Bloodborne era kinda thing is, like, it's a London town, right? It's like, what is the difference between living in big cities, or now people are living in close quarters, more like, closer than they ever have before? What does that mean?
Right. And during industry, everyone's all crowded in because they're all having to work together. You're like working together in these giant factories that are like all cramped together, or you're working in these like mines that are like where the conditions are just like crazy and like unbelievably, it's like you couldn't, it's hard to write, it would be hard to write a fictional story that's more horrific than the conditions of having to do mines like in the Road to Wigan Pier. Anyway.
Yeah, so in our discussions, basically it's like, how do we get these kind of feelings in a game, right? So we start like big picture first, like, oh, so we know we should have a big city in the game, right? We should focus on a big city, like you should be in the big city a lot. In that big city, maybe I should boot up the game now. I want to
Oh,
switch to
sure.
that.
Here. Switching.
Um,
Multi-camera screen share. Oh wait, here. We need to get you. All right. Let's look at the game.
so here's our city. I'm gonna fly around if you haven't seen flying around yet. Um, so we want to make like this big city, but we want to make sure it feels like maybe like a microcosm of a city where you might have a rich area. This is like supposed to be like a rich area over here, and then this is supposed to be more like a slums-ish kind of area.
Right.
So
It's
we
like
wanted to sort of
three areas. The juxtaposition between the rich and the poor is pretty much as obvious as it could be, right? There's like a
right,
big
and we at the same time, we wanna make it feel, like, grand and cool and, like, people wanna live here. We wanna show, like, the disparity that's happening even in the big city, right?
right. Well, like when Mina comes here and sees Lionel in the city that they built together, we want the player to feel like triumphant, like, whoa, this is like a great city. And like everyone here seems, or well, like kind of everyone here like seems to enjoy it. There's so much progress. There's like electric lights, it's bustling, people are working. It's like you could see it's like a big cool city.
And, we wanted to make sure we focused on a guy like Lionel. So, we basically
Look at
came
him.
up with Lionel because we wanted a big old rich guy, right? like someone that could sort of just encapsulate like extreme wealth and like and play how that could play out in a story,
And he's like a baron. He like throws his weight around to try and influence things in the way that he desires to like try to make the world better how he wants.
right?
Right?
And
Kind of
you
like
know, show
whether everybody else likes it or not.
yeah, well, and we wanted to make sure that he was like beloved, right? Because you know, oftentimes, especially in this era, like and you could find even going into like the 1900s, like the wealth barons were like heroes that everyone looked up to, right?
Right.
They're doing, you know, sometimes they're doing really amazing things, and you know, all the museums in the world they're building, right?
Right. You're like, oh, they're making
Um,
museum. Oh, they're so charitable. The barons are so charitable. Like, look what good they're doing. And people, that's you feel like good about these characters as well sometimes.
right, and yeah, we just sort of wanted to like have things that like people and places that might you could see why maybe people are like blind to a wealth gap happening, right? Because there's all this fun, cool stuff happening too.
Right. The
Um,
world Osix is cool. There's nothing
yeah.
wrong. There's like nothing wrong going on here.
Yep, and then from there, I guess maybe I could show like a map. Look at I'm gonna show you this the cool console.
Ooh.
Or no, I forget the
Unlock
um
map.
so if we can I see it all? Yeah, so this is like basically you might have seen this already, but we have like the city in the center, and then we said we were gonna set this on an island where it'll feel less and less like a city the further you get away. I
Hmm.
mean, which is usually how cities work, but we wanted to get the feeling of there being like you could really tell the difference between what a bustling city feels like and what
Sorry, I was
the
just stuck
outside
on
of it
like
feels
you're
like.
like if you get further away from the city, usually it's like you'll be in the outskirts. But it's like that's like true by definition, right? Because like if you're trying to leave the city, but you're still in the city, you haven't left yet.
Right, yes, yes. God.
Anyway, I'm sorry. Everything just like everything you said afterwards. I was just thinking about the city. Sorry, but yes, your point
Um,
is taken. That things become less like as you spread out, things become
yeah,
less,
we just wanted
and then
that,
also
like,
it builds
difference to
into
be
another
stark.
town, right? Like
Right,
into
well,
other areas.
okay, so, like, you know, we have these discussions, we figure out these, like, big concepts, and, then we start, like, brainstorming, I think, like, what a story could actually look like. Um,
Right.
or I guess maybe first we might start with, like, what kinda areas of the world? Maybe we should show that, that's a fun thing.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think first we would probably start like with the gameplay, right? Like, hey, we need like 6 areas that Mina's got to like run to.
Right.
That would be like the very first thing.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, but we're sort of thinking through all these things at the same time, right?
Right.
And they're informing each other. So it's like, oh, we got to, you know, what kind of areas would we want a big city? And so that's like not exactly gameplay based, but it's like we're gonna have areas around a big city. Like, what kind of cool areas would you have like that would be fun to go to?
Right. And so like this is like what we had, or this was our spreadsheet that has all of the information, and then like look, these are like things that we ended up not going with, all these ideas, and then some of them we did. Look, you could even see here. There's like palettes of the colors that we might have gone with, like as a little like temp. Like, oh, this will be red. Oh, this will be like a purple area.
Yeah, so the same way we were like sitting and brainstorming, and everyone's adding their ideas for enemies or trinkets or weapons, we do the same thing with the areas. It's like we come up with all these kind of locations might be cool, a ghost ship or whatever, and then we say, oh, ghost ship and this place are sort of similar. Maybe we can merge these idea and make it weird in some way,
Right.
right?
Yeah. So you could see here it's just like autumn in New England. This later turned into September, a level in the game. Autumn leaves, headless horsemen, corn maze, wheat field, pumpkins, hay bales, old windmills, barns, cathedrals, gargoyles. This is like where these are just some words that are evoking a place already, right? Even if this is something that's like not exactly thematically like having to do with the rich poor wealth gap.
Right, but a lot of them, when we were having these discussions, we were thinking about, like, what kind of story might be happening to that area of the world that sorta emphasizes those themes we're talking about. Like, what you're in the farmland, how is it affecting the farms area?
Right.
Like, oh, are they running out of food, or do they have too much food, or that kind of stuff, or oh, do they not have access to the things that the city people do, and they're down on their luck because of it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, this was like, here we were saying like there's some kind of environmental problem. The crops were like getting destroyed. The people are starving. They're going to eat you. This isn't what we ended up going with, but like these were some of the ideas. Kids have a trick or treating holiday, but they go missing. Save them. That is in the game. Narrow tree, Slender Man stuff, like Sleepy Hollow over the garden wall. Basically, just trying to like thematically group all of these things together as well. A legendary figure that only kids believe in is coming to life. Actually, the bad guy was the oil company all along, and this is also not what we went with in here. Imagine it was like a Scooby Doo mystery.
Yeah, so we come up with all those areas, and then there's just a bunch of things we're essentially brainstorming about, like, what are the characters like? How do they develop over the game? Like, what is Mina, right? Who is Mina? Who is Lionel? We come up with like, oh, we should probably have like a antagonist like Thorn. What is Thorn like? How do these characters relate to each other?
Mhm.
So for Mina, we said, oh, we don't want it to be like an obviously like Lionel's rich and Mina's poor. Maybe they're both rich. That would be interesting, right? Maybe
Yeah,
she's like maybe Lionel's like the knowledgeable rich person and she's like the naive rich person.
right. She basically is like someone that like grew up like blue-blooded or in like a bubble and doesn't understand about like what really is like going on in the world. Like she thinks everything is just like kind of hunky dory, or her assumptions about everything have like never really been challenged.
Right. And she's like always been doing the right thing. She's like the smart person, always doing the right thing.
Right, right.
Um
Right, yeah, she's always
eh,
excelled, she's always been smart, I imagine she's always been, like, first in her class, you know?
right. And then, we have these characters and we think like what could be major plot, like big beats that could happen. You know,
Mhm,
does anyone die? Where do we want it to end up at is it a happy ending? Is it you're just like distraught at the end? Like what does like basically like are there a bunch of twists and turns that we should expect? Like how do we play that out, especially when we're making like this kind of game where it's open world, like how do we like even deliver the kind of story
right.
beats, right?
Yeah, how's the story delivered?
Right, so we came up with like the generators at this time being like, okay, we're gonna have like what's the general goal of the game and the story, like, oh, we're gonna make Mina, she's gonna be this like well studied rich person, maybe she's like a person's that it can like help in a scientific way, and the generators could be like these broken things that are like affecting the world that were like these rich, it took a lot of money to make them. Yeah, so we were like sort of figuring that out just through brainstorming essentially.
Mhm,
um and we're also brainstorming like if there are any big like moments or set pieces happen, like should any plot things happen with like I don't know, like the dream sequence in Shovel Knight, right?
right, or just
um
yeah, big stuff, Plague Knight and Mona have to dance in silhouette, that's like a moment
yeah,
that's gotta be, like, in the game. Are there
right.
any moments like that that are in Mina that we have to, like we gotta make sure that we put that in there?
Yeah, so we maybe come up with like big cool things, and we have like a few of those in the game that you'll run into, which I don't want to spoil, but like we come up with these big moments that we think, oh yes, we should. That's what we're gonna steer around. So we'll make that sounds really fun to do something like that. And so we got to basically like we sort of like reverse engineer a story from wanting to like meet these cool moments or like play off these characters like personalities in a way.
Right.
um And what we'll also be brainstorming is just generally like the themes we want to get across, not like necessarily in a literary sense, although we probably are talking about that too, but more like like in Mona and Plague Knight's story, right? It's like we're gonna try to make like a love story. Like
Everything's like a
that's what
romance, and like love
everything's
is in
like a
the air.
romance.
Everything's like
Love is in the
romance
air.
related.
So like for example, at the start of this game, Alg is like I really like we did a bunch of like relational stories in a row, like Shovel Knight and Shield Knight, Mona and Plague Knight, King Knight and his mom, um, Spectre Knight and Donovan. Like how about we try to make something that's like more about like how you affect the world? And so that's not to say we don't have lots of relationships, and it's obviously like core to the experience too, but it was sort of like we're trying to structure the story more around like what Mina's doing and what it means for the world.
Right.
Um,
A little bit bigger and more expansive, I guess, in that way.
yeah. So once we've brainstormed like those, bunches of ideas, we essentially try to like pin together an outline, which Sean can show, which we'll probably not show too much of.
Oh, you
Um,
mean the story
the
outline? I
GDT.
feel like we can't even. I'm not even comfortable scrolling around this at all. But we could show
You
at
could
least a
just
tiny
show the
little.
just show the start. Just show the start. So you can see in the GDD we wrote down like the kind of stuff we talked about with like we make sure we all talk about this, but we write it down just so we don't forget and we keep it clear. Like this is what the things we're aiming for, right?
All the
And
major
then and
plot
then
points, the details of things, like Mina's story, Thorn's backstory, spark technology, plasma, bones, Lionel's backstory, like all that stuff is detailed out, even besides the plot
right.
points,
And then you
right?
can see like we have a little story outline and it's not very detailed. It's like you're on a boat, right? You're
Right.
reading a letter.
Yeah, I feel like I can't even scroll down from here, but
Yeah,
it goes
but
the whole yeah, it goes the whole way.
right, but we just are basically like real bones of how the story is going to be in the game. Like what are the main things that like you sort of need to process as a player to like get the story at all.
Right.
Um
And how
and
it's all delivered.
and how it's delivered. So like at the generator this scene will happen, right?
Right.
Um
That's like a really important thing when you're making a game because it's like story can't just be delivered at any time, or it depends. For our games, story can't be delivered at any time. What's going to happen? Mina's going to be walking, and then someone's going to like call them in their ear, and then like you'll slowly walk while she's like talking to you. Like tell you some stuff over like an audio log. There's no like speaking, we got to make you read everything, then we have to stop usually what you're doing, and that means that
right.
there's a big context shift between talking and story stuff and action and gameplay stuff.
Right. And we are very like sort of adamant about making sure that when we're delivering the story, we try to do it through gameplay as much as possible. And if we're not doing it through gameplay, then it's like the treat at the end. It's like, well, we need a cooldown moment anyway. Like, if I just went through like a horrifying boss, I want like some moment to catch my breath. That's like when we'll often put like some little light reading.
Do a little
Um,
story.
but
Yeah.
but otherwise we like want to integrate it into the gameplay as much as possible because to that to us that's like the important thing. We want to make you feel the story or feel like the world and everything that's happening through the gameplay. Like we want them to be unified as much as possible.
Right. Yeah. And we wanted to we also just want to present it to you and let you interact with it. I think that's another thing. It's just like, I don't know, it's sort of hard to explain. Let's continue.
Yeah, I mean the same way we present level 2 and level 3 and you can go anywhere. We want to present like a story to you and let you engage with it how you see fit, right? If you want to ignore it all, cool. If you want to go really deep into it, cool. And if you want to, I don't know, experience this part of it before that part of it, that's also cool, right?
Yeah.
And you can take away like the themes that you think that are helpful and meaningful to you. That's like another goal of ours, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's what I was kind of trying to get at. It's like you're going to be playing the game, I think, but you'll be allowed to draw your own conclusions about it, or it's presented to you for you to notice as much or as little as you want. you know.
Yeah, I mean, like, for example, like, in Shovel Knight, we're like, we wanna make sure they're not, like, explicitly romantic, right? Because you could be like your brother you could be like a little 8-year-old pl and you might wanna imagine playing with your sister, like, you wanna be like Shovel Knight and Shield Knight, and we're brother and sister, that's cool, or you might wanna be like an adult that has a romantic relationship there. So we're oftentimes thinking about leaving out details the same way like in pixel art it's like you're interpreting what it means. We like the story, we're hoping you're interpreting what it means and like making it relevant and meaningful for you.
Right. Yeah. Like, did you know in Arc Raiders, it's like all the rich people flew off the planet, and the Ark are like being sent by them to go like take the resources, and that's like who you're fighting. That's why you don't get killed by the Ark. They just knock you out.
I didn't know that.
Right. So I mean, that's another example of of a game that like where you don't have to interact with the story at all, and you can still and you can still enjoy it.
Right.
I thought that was kind of funny and like not too different from what we're doing.
Um yeah, so we come up with that outline and then really the next thing is that we do is, we're building out the world and we're putting NPCs and characters, which maybe we'll do I think we should do an NPC one at another time because it's maybe get into
It's going to
spoilery
be
territory a
long
little bit.
and fun and spoilers. Yeah, there's a lot.
But so we put in events that happen, we put in lots of in dialogue that doesn't matter or dialogue that like is very important to the story or events that happen just for fun or silly or weird.
Right. And
We put all that stuff in.
those are all like listed out and portioned out in the doc, the same way that we do everything. We're like, in this area, there's going to be 5 NPCs you talk to, and this one's going to be an important one. And there's going to be one merchant in this area, and their theme needs to match the theme of the area, right? Like that's all like annotated before we even like start any
Right, like
dialogue stuff.
how does this NPC like convey like what's happening in the world right here. So yeah, we do that, and then I guess we wanted to show a little bit of how we come up with the dialogue. So
Yeah, we can
maybe
look
we
at
show
that
the
text doc here.
so so we put all this stuff in the game. We come up with the idea, we brainstorm the NPCs and all this stuff, and basically we write temp lines for the dialogue. Um, so we'll usually, and they're very typically they're very like functional, um like if it's a joke, someone might just type like, but hat goes on a plane or whatever, something that's like stupid and make it's gonna be the joke's gonna go here. Um, and if it's like serious, like this needs to convey real information, we will try to write it like not in a way that we know it would be final in the game, but in a way we know when we get back to this line or we're playing the game for realsies, it can still like convey that information in a
Right.
way
Like
that we can see if it's
he'd
working.
say, I'm so angry with you right now, or whatever.
Right.
It's like, okay, well, like that's what we're trying to get across, and that's not what the final line is going to be. But we know that like one character is angry with the other one. That's
Yeah.
like the level that we go with, I think.
So what yeah, so what you're looking at here is essentially on the left side is the tag that we use in code or in the tools to say like when you say ribbon crowd I'm not sure if I'm reading that right, '07, that will
Right.
play that line. Um
Yep.
and then that you say Lionel made eye contact with me earlier. You're jealous, aren't you? Hmm?
Right.
That's what's going to show up in English, and all those other columns are what's going to show up in the other
And
languages.
all the
And
other
then
languages are over here.
you can see the next ID is essentially like if there's another line, like if I press the button, does it prompt like another line after that? Um, yeah, and then yeah, so
Yeah, and
we write this all up.
you can see like Lionel is his
and-
name, like with the exclamation point. There's like a tag in it because like his name is colored, and it doesn't say. I think it does say Lionel, but it doesn't have to. Or like, and then here there's like a tag with a W because it waves, so eloquent, and a S, so inspiring that shakes. And look here, this is a color for Bone Beach. These tags, look, they're like HTML tags, and each one makes the text do something different and cool. Sorry, that's not related
Yeah,
to the
so
story.
we write a rough version of it, and then at towards the end of the project, we say, "Okay, it's dialogue time. We're gonna go and rewrite every single line in the game," which, in this game is I don't know how many. There's like 30,000 words or something.
Yeah.
It's almost a book, a novella, and we go through each line and we try to write it and make it better and make it make sense. And the things we're thinking about are like, how does this character sound like their own person, right? What does the frog talk like when he's talking?
Right.
Does he have an accent?
Having a
Is he
voice for
is
the
he
character, looking at them and their speaker name and their portrait to see what they're looking like if they have art. Like, yeah, really trying to get all that across and making sure that each one is very different. Like this kid, I've always wanted to hold a big ribbon. That's good. That's like once a kid was, wow, now orphans like me have somewhere to go. But then, like
right?
here,
So
Rich Mouse says, I invested in Osix early. Events like this reassure me I made the right call. Well, good job.
yeah, so we're going through and basically rewriting these lines. Sometimes we're doing it like, Sean will do a pass, I will do a pass, Jake will do a pass. We'll make a different pass, and then we'll basically go like, which one of these is the best or like most interesting, or we'll combine these kind of things, and then we'll likely make like several attempts at going through every single line in the game.
Yep.
Uh, and
Like
then
if I
taking a look at it.
even like if I just take a random line here and go like to the edit history, it used to say, I like it here. We get to play all day and nobody yells. But now it says we get to play all day and nobody yells. And the beds are so soft. So we found it necessary to add that. There you go. That's the only one
That's
that's the
why we
only
were
difference.
delayed 6
That's why it
months.
took 6 years.
Yeah, and then, the way we're typically looking at this, I don't know if you wanna show my screen again.
Yep.
Um, but we have a cool tool which basically just shows the text in the game. Um, so this is like what we call the text viewer, and you can pick any line and you can see it in any language. And you can see any menu, anything in the game that has text associated with it.
Yes.
But we'll
Yeah.
write the text, and then we have to look in here and make sure it fits.
Into the
Generally, we're
three
trying to make it so
boxes.
you
Yeah.
don't need to prompt. We don't want you to prompt it ever. Like, if we don't want see those cliffs there to be on the next line, because that means you'd have to like press a button.
Yeah. Or
We
if it
want
said
it to
see those cliffs and then you have to press the button and it says there, that's like a
right.
big no-no. That's like a big
That's
no-no. We hate that.
Yeah, so we try to make it like all fit and be as concise and dense, just as much as we were trying to do with the gameplay, we're trying to do that with the text.
We spend a lot of time making it fit and making it brief and making it short. We really value your time and we don't want you to have to read a bunch of nonsense.
Right. And then we
We
do things like we're going over and saying, "Oh, maybe, should we have a shaky thing there? Should we not? Should it be what should weapon be highlighted?" And then we're gonna make not like more passes at the text to basically make sure, are we consistent in making weapon highlighted, or like
yeah.
why are we, what's the reason we're doing that here or
Is
not?
weapon capitalized? Is it highlighted? If you're referring to a weapon or if you say grab a weapon, is that the same as another weapon? Like if you're referring it to it as a weapon, does it still get colored? Is it colored in the menu? Sometimes it's not.
Um, yeah, and I mean, I think that's maybe all there is to say about coming up with the story and the dialogue and this all that fun stuff without
Yeah.
without leaking a
Without
bunch of
spoilers.
spoilers. Yeah, without
We
spoiling it.
definitely want to go into the story more and into the NPCs and all that, but maybe we could do that a little bit later, like when the game comes out, so we are not spoiling it for everyone.
All right, so we'll dive into some question times now. If you have some questions, there's like I guess a thing to click where you can type your question, and that'll be easier for us to see it. And I'm gonna jump in on those. So,
Cool.
how do you decide how many areas to have?
Well, we generally do it when we're scoping the game out. Like with this game, for instance, we said we're going to make it like roughly the size of Shovel Knight, except each boss area, like in Shovel Knight, was 30 screens, but each boss area in this game is going to be 60 screens, and there's going to be half as many bosses. So it's like the same amount of screens, the same amount of game, but dispersed in a different way. And when you divided it out like that, then you're like, oh, that means there'll be 6 main areas and like one and a big one in the middle, or like 7 areas and a big one in the middle. Some kind of math like that. First we math it out, and then we say, okay, well, there's going to be 8, or there's going to be 6, or and then, I mean, you could use what one might describe as common sense to think like, what's a good amount? Is how's 4 sound? That sounds like not a lot. I mean,
Right.
Majora's
Or
Mask
like,
did that, and we love Majora's Mask, so maybe I'm wrong.
yeah, not oftentimes we think, oh, it's, if it's 30 screens, it'll take 30 minutes to play it. This will be like a 5-hour game or whatever. Is that
Right.
like a good size? Is that like what we were aiming for?
Yeah, that's another good way.
Um, which game, this or Shovel Knight, was more challenging for creating lore, and why or how so? That's, I think that's tricky. Shovel Knight, I think, for the first campaign was a lot easier.
Yeah.
And as the campaigns progressed, it, became way more complicated. Like, we got to keep all these plot lines in our heads.
It was
Was this
very
character?
goofy, yeah.
What was this character doing? Like, to the point where like looking it
How
up
do
on
they
Wikipedia to
talk?
remember.
Right, yeah, thank goodness for the Shovel Knight wiki. Right, and it's like
Yeah.
we had to be careful not to what's that, they Flanderize the characters, right? Like as the character grows more like in the story, they become more and more like concentrated version of that character until they become like a
Hmm.
parody of themselves. That was
Right.
hard too, like making something over 5 times. Like Mr. Hat, his powers grew like exponentially by the end of it until he's like, you know, uh
Yeah, so I think maybe at the end Shovel Knight was harder. I think this game is probably just harder in a different way
It's like
overall.
it has like more mature themes.
Right,
It's more, I think it's also like it's like more like cohesive in that way. It's more thematically cohesive.
right.
Like we
I
were
mean,
just
it's
kind of
like
going
a
wild.
world it's like a world that you're probably thinking about, like, how it came to be and how it's like the more than I think Shovel Knight, which is Shovel Knight's like more like a fairy tale, right?
Right.
And this game is more like, a Victorian novel, not to put it on that level, but like that's the kind of thing it's trying to go for.
Yeah.
Do you have favorite characters in the games? Without saying which ones, why do you prefer them, their stories, the design, and how they interact with Mina?
Uh, I mean, I
I
like Lionel. He's the coolest, and he's
yeah.
and he's the best, and he did nothing wrong.
Um, I like the characters that like are probably big surprises for the players. Just like the way you interact with them, I think that take people off guard, that they're not expecting. You walk in and you think it's a boss fight, but it's not, or
Yeah,
vice
or vice
versa.
versa.
Yeah. Um, were there any inspirations for the writing of Mina that you weren't expecting that really surprised you? Um, I don't know. I think it did surprise me, like when we were going over those, what we did use as inspirations, like Frankenstein and Dracula. Oh, like something we didn't talk about is like we opened Mina with a letter, like reading a letter and having letters through the games, because like that happened in all those books back then. They
Right,
were
right,
all like, when like Frankenstein is told in the form of him like writing a diary, and Frankenstein is and Dracula is told in like letters that he's writing home or something like that. I forget. Um,
right. Yeah, but all
but
of
they
Dracula
all,
is told through like missives.
yeah, they were playing with like the form that a novel could take, right? During that era. And so I guess what I'm trying to get to is like we were really surprised by all the connections that we were finding between all these stories, and that like sort of like drawing those out and making that into like bringing those into Mina was a
Right.
fun thing.
Turns out creativity moved in a zeitgeist even back then.
Right. Did you consider making Mina a silent protagonist?
I don't think so. I think she was always like a little talky. Like Shovel Knight is not a silent protagonist either. They both like talk. They're not like links, but they
Yeah,
don't talk a lot.
I think we try to give them a personality you can hold on to, but at the same time, trying to make them not talk so much that you could like you could still like see yourself in them,
Right.
you
You
know?
want to be able to put yourself in there and avoid the ever dreaded ludonarrative dissonance.
Yeah. Um, okay. Um, are there side quest stories from NPCs you could potentially miss or get locked out of if you progress too far? There is nothing you can miss, I don't or get locked out of.
Not as far as
Um,
collectibles go, but there's definitely some like dialogue, if you like choose one dialogue line and like not another, the character will say one thing and not the other. Or like if you there's
you
no,
you could miss,
there's
I guess
definitely,
you can miss some lines. Yeah, you can miss some lines.
but you can't miss
Um,
any like items or anything like that. We worked really hard
right.
to make the game something like even if you like missed out, then you could go back and do it, or you had like a chance to fix most stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, you could definitely miss stuff by just never encountering it, right? I think that's like one of the interesting things about making a story game, or putting a story in a game like this where you can go any direction and do anything in any order is like you could potentially just like totally miss something. And we have to make sure that it like still will all make sense for you, right? It might be like deeper and richer if you went down this path, but like even if you don't, you'll still like get the basics of what's happening.
Right.
Hi, are you the developers of Mina the Hollower? We are, in fact, the developers of
We
Mina the
are,
Hollower.
yay.
Yes,
Some of
I
them
hope you
at
buy
least,
the game and play it.
please.
Yes, yeah, just a small part of the team. Do you have a recommended movie list or book list that inspired the game? Who should play Mina in the movie?
That would be fun. We should make it. We should make like a reading list. That's a good idea. We should like release.
Yeah.
We should like release one. I want to release a poke wrap for all the item names and stuff too. You know.
um, yeah, I mean, some of the stories we've talked about are the ones we looked at. I don't know if I'd recommend them. I don't. It's hard
Well,
to
we could
say.
say what we looked at. Maybe not like a recommended reading, but it's like you could
Yeah.
read Dracula if you want.
Right. Yeah, it definitely depends on your taste. Like, I'm actually, yeah, I'm like reading some of these now. I was like trying to like catch all the ones I didn't read before, and it's fun to like see like how they differed from what I imagined they were, just like from my common knowledge or my research or movies and stuff. Um, okay, let's see. Um, Did you expect the critical acclaim this game has gotten so far? It's the best reviewed game. We can answer that. We can
Woo!
answer that, I guess.
Woo!
But yeah, let's try to keep the questions on topic, if we
Good
can, just
question.
because
This is the question.
um,
We'll accept this question.
we'll accept this one. I mean, I don't know. I personally thought it would be like more like this is a 10 out of 10 or like a 5 out of 10. I thought it would be, since you could go anywhere and do anything and you could get lost and you could really make the game hard on yourself or make it too easy. I thought people might have more like spiky kind of looks at it. And
Right.
we've seen a little bit of that, right? Like you might have read like there's a review here or there that's like, I don't like not having a map, right?
Right.
Like we made some really strong, bold, or like weird choices, and so I expected it to maybe rub people the wrong way sometimes. But
Yes.
yeah, I did like this is very glowing and it's pretty amazing.
Yes. The I was hoping. I mean, I was hoping for praise and acclaim, as I guess as you always do, and also I felt like I've said a lot of times. I'm very confident that we made a good game. Like it's really good, and we all like did. We really did our best on it, and we like got it all the way done until we finished it to the best of our ability. It's not like we had. It's not like it got pulled out of our hands or anything. So like um, I would never have expected that we have got such glowing praise. Uh, and I'm also like we also did everything we possibly could to try and make it happen. So it's like both at once. We're just everyone is like in the Slack right now, just like going nuts and looking at all the quotes and looking at the reviews and being excited. It's all
Yeah.
very thrilling right now.
Okay. Back on topic. Back on topic. Was there a was Earthbound an inspiration? Oh,
Uh,
Threed was Threed from Earthbound. an inspiration.
What is that? The third town?
I was trying to remember what is 3? Yeah, it must
I
be.
I only played Earthbound once. I'm more of a
Uh,
Mother 3 fan, but
yeah,
yeah, I mean,
well,
but
yeah,
both of those
to
get
the
Mother. Yes, it was like a huge,
yeah,
and we played.
to the topic, like we were looking at lots of top-down games, and RPGs, and Mother 3 especially is an eternal inspiration for us, just in like the guy is a master at making something that's like deeply weird and interesting and makes you think and is funny. And doesn't take itself too seriously, right? Which is like an amazing thing to see in a game because it seems like every game does that.
Right.
Um, uh, yeah, so I mean, we are constantly like referencing Itoi's work and how to live up to something like that. Did you also take elements of Lovecraftian horror as Bloodborne did? Yeah, definitely. Um, that was something we were thinking about a lot, and I mean, we were looking at Bloodborne too, so there's like a triangle of stuff we're looking at.
Right. Yeah, I
Um,
think that there was like some contention over the adding Lovecraftian or like otherworldly elements to the game because we didn't want it to seem like it was like space aliens or like the world was too, like it was a big, uh, like it was a big like universe that had too many definitions like that, like, and we had to
yeah.
we like pulled back on it and made it more like into a science, like into science, or more of like it's a question to like where all this stuff is coming from, or like more of an open question as opposed to like being like, hey, there are like elder gods or anything like that.
Arc raiders are essentially hollowers, right?
That's true. That's true. Dude, I got so into Arc Raiders. I got so I we love that game. So good.
um, okay. Any more questions about the Victorian era or how we put together a story or how we make plots or dialogue or characters or
We could look at the live chat also, the regular chat. I don't know if you
yeah,
did.
did I miss any questions? I did
Oh,
not
I
look
don't
at
know if you
that.
looked at it. I didn't look.
Um, were there any classic film tropes, favorite film tropes that you felt like you needed to add to the game?
There had to have been. There had to have been.
I mean, I'm sure. Well, a lot of these stories are just get made into film, right? Like I was saying, like I'm currently reading Dracula because I never read it, but I had seen movies of Dracula, right? So all that, like all my knowledge of Dracula is just coming from film. Uh, and I mean, those kind of tropes definitely made it into Mina, and lots of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not, yeah, and I mean, we're like, when we're making something, we're using basically inspirations from everywhere and everything we can find,
Right.
and but we are like picking and choosing ones that like make sense, right? Like
Yeah.
if it's a modern novel or book or movie, it might be like, oh, they have like a rich and poor theme in it that we can take, that we can use or be inspired by too, right?
Right. Yeah. Or like the idea, like the idea of like a Sleepy Hollow and the like we have a character called the Carving Man and the who's the pumpkin head in Sleepy Hollow, the Headless Horseman. It's like he's like a mythical figure that's told about in tales that like maybe something happened to him that's like horrible, like a ghost story, right? A ghost story come to life. That's like a trope. And like we sort of like started with that when we were like coming up with the idea for Carving Man. I'm not sure if that qualifies, right? Like everything's like kind of like based on a trope or a theme or like trying to be evocative of all of the like of the era that we have been talking about.
um all right, maybe we should call it there.
Okay, cool beans.
Thanks for
Well,
joining, everybody. I hope you check out all the cool reviews
yeah,
and get excited for Mina. It's coming out on May 29th at midnight New York time, and we're going to be
right,
doing a 24-hour stream
right.
that starts
That's like
tonight, right?
like the end of like at the end of May 28th, like the very first moment of May 29th. right?
Yes, the very first moment. So for a lot of people, that's May 28th.
Yeah. So I mean, first up, Jake Vert Kaufman is going to be doing a stream, right? Or is that, oh, maybe that's not a that is that happening? Or is that maybe that might be a
I
backers
don't.
only stream? I don't know if we should advertise
I
that. But
gotta.
you definitely got to come to the you definitely got to come to the marathon though. That's happening at 9 p.m. tonight.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we're all gonna be there playing old games and talking about it and having fun, and it's gonna be real enjoyable atmosphere. So
We're go-
join us for that,
we're going through
and we'll be doing.
the whole oeuvre, double
Yeah, and
night,
we'll be doing more.
plague, plague night, all of them.
Yeah, and we'll be doing more of these explains. So if you like these, look forward to more of these happening soon.
All right, sweet. Thanks everybody. See you next time.
Bye.